My name is Yupari, and welcome to another 10-minute portrait painting challenge. Yes, we will paint this portrait entirely in 10 minutes. So let's go ahead and get the timer started here. Okay, so we're going to mix orange and red, cadmium red light, and cadmium yellow deep with a little bit of white, a generous mixture of color here. And we're going to let it interact with the tone on the canvas, which is just a dark grayish brown. Now here we're going to have the forehead start to emerge, and right around here is probably where the glabella is going to fit, the midway point between the two eyes. Less pressure makes this a little less dark. This is the alla prima painting technique. So we are able to do this entire thing wet on wet. This is oil paint. So the corner of the nose is going to fit here. And we're going to have an eye socket right over here. Eye socket over here. This gives us the corner of the eyebrow. Tear duct is going to fall right over here, somewhere in this vicinity. This gives us the cheekbone. We're getting a little bit of the modeling for the cheekbone done right away with the paint handling. This is also giving us the angle of the nose, the angle of the face, a little bit more light here, and this will give us the shadow shape on the left hand side. So now we have the placement of the eyes, cheekbone over here, and if we add the ear later, we will add the ear. Okay, so the mouth is going to fit somewhere over there. A little bit of light for the chin underneath over here. And this is going to give us the corner of the jaw. A little bit less pressure will make this less dark or less light, depending on what mixtures we're using here. Okay, so now we're going to switch brushes here, and we're going to use black and red. Black and red gives us a nice brown, nice brownish mixture. And we're going to use this to paint in some of the structure for the concavity of the eye socket and the shadow shape for the edge of the nose. And we can use this at the same exact time. See, we're doing multiple things at once. Gives us the shadow shape for the edge of the nose. And we can also use this with a little less pressure to create a slight plane change on the bottom of the nose. A little bit more red, let it mix with the skin tone. And this gives us our little plane change that we need for the nose, and we can use that for the side of the eye over here. This gives us a nice turning plane for that shape there. Again, we're focusing on the mask of the face, but also we have the angle, the main angles for the face. Nice and easy there. Now the mouth is going to fit right about here. No time to stop and measure, just use your instincts. It's a very fun time trial. Okay, so there's the corner of the mouth on one side, and now we'll use this for the cast shadow or the form shadow on the side of the face. Now we are going to switch brushes. That same mixture, black and red, but this time we're going to use a little bit of alizarin crimson, still with a little bit of red, but this has more black. And now this is going to give us the corner of the eye over here. This gives us some nice perspective. The model is looking down. Same thing over here. Model is looking down, so now we have the light and shadows start to emerge. And now the shape for the eyebrows, less pressure, makes this a little less sharp. Makes it a little softer. Same thing over here. Now this gives us somewhat of the likeness of the model, though this is not going to be what you would want for, say, a commission. but this is more for a fun painting exercise. Now we can push the form a little bit on the corner of the eye socket there, and we're going to use the same brush but a little bit more of the alizarin crimson, and this is going to give us the shapes for the nostril. Nice and simplified. Now you see why those plane changes in the beginning were really important for this process. Now we're going to go to a little bit of just cadmium red, maybe a tad bit of the yellow, and this is going to give us a lower shape for the lip. Switch brushes back to the dark brush with the alizarin and a little bit more of the alizarin, and this is going to give us the middle of the mouth. Nice and simple there. And this is going to give us the corners of the mouth. Now switching to the skin tone brush, we're going to add a little bit more white and a little bit more yellow, and this is going to give us our highlight area over here. Less pressure makes this a little less bright. Again, alla prima painting techniques here, done in just 10 minutes. A little bit more light here for the tear duct, and a little bit of light here for the cheekbone. 3 minutes to spare, plenty of time to go ahead and throw in the ear. I'm going to switch brushes here, and the ear is going to fit somewhere over there, leaving a gap in the dark right there. We're going to switch brushes, go to the alizarin. Notice how quickly I'm able to change brushes because I have many different brushes at my disposal for me to be able to do these plane changes relatively quickly. This gives us the corner of that shape. Now going back to the dark, we're going to go with black and a little bit more of the alizarin, and this is going to give us, maybe we'll throw in some red, and this is going to give us the corner of the hair, and ultramarine blue. When things get too red, we throw in ultramarine blue. The hair is tied up, so we're going to put the little shape for the bun of the hair, throw in a little skin tone for the light of the hair over there. Nice and simple. Switch back to the skin tone brush, but mix right in the middle, and this is going to give us a plane change here for the neck, that we don't want too much. We just want something there for the neck. Going back to this middle tone brush, and this will, with a little more black, this will sharpen this cast shadow here. Plenty of time, just 2 minutes left, and we have already pretty much finished what we have started here. Once again, this is a fun way to create portrait paintings in a very short amount of time, but also test the limits of what we can do. With oil paint, there's a lot of decision making that happens in a very fast amount of time, but you can also see how the oil paint is optimized when we use multiple different brushes for different things. And now these are just little subtle things on the side of the face. But once again, the fastest method possible to create a portrait painting. Again, all done in real time for you here. There have been no edits. This is a fun and challenging exercise for painters of all skill levels. Once again, if you do decide to paint along with me with one of these painting exercises, please use the hashtag yuparitheartist. You see it there on the bottom left. With 1 minute left, we've got pretty good shapes here for the lips. So we add a little bit more subtlety for it. Not that we really need that much with the last minute here. It really should be only just subtle little things, but that's perfectly fine for the mouth. With the last minute, I always suggest nothing. I suggest you not change anything and just work on things like edges. Edge quality is perfectly fine for the last minute to 30 seconds. Corner of the ear. These are very fun and expressive paintings that you can do with family and friends. So definitely paint along with this. It's a new concept of mine. Again, this is what I mean about edges. I'm just blurring the edges a little bit for the last couple seconds. And there you have it. Another portrait painting in 10 minutes, real time. Once again, I had multiple different brushes for the different values, but you can see how fun and expressive this type of oil painting is. Once again, thank you all so much for watching. Once again, if you do decide to paint along, please post it on your social medias with the hashtag #YupariPortraitChallenge. I wish you all the very best, and I'll see you on the next one.